Let's go ahead and take a look at finding the sum, the difference, the product, and the quotient of two functions. The two functions we're going to be working with are f of x equals 1 over x plus 2, and we have g of x is equal to x over x minus 1. And let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of these cases. Let's start with calculating this first one, which is f plus g of x. And if we take a look at our definitions that we have up on top, we can rewrite this as f of x plus g of x. So let's go ahead and rewrite that with our functions. We're going to be adding 1 over x plus 2 with the function x over x minus 1. Now remember that when you're adding fractions together, they have to have a common denominator. And if we're looking at our denominators here, one of them is x plus 2, and the other one is x minus 1. So our common denominator has to have both of those factors. So we're going to go ahead and start with our first fraction, 1 over x plus 2. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply top and bottom here by x minus 1. That's going to give me a common denominator here on the bottom of x plus 2 times x minus 1. And if I go ahead and multiply this top part out, well, 1 times x minus 1 is just going to give me x minus 1 on top. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for our second fraction. Right? Our original fraction here was x over x minus 1. And if I wanted to get a common denominator, the factor that this one was missing was that x plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply top and bottom here by the x plus 2. So our common denominator is going to be x minus 1 times x plus 2. And on top, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this x times each piece here. That's going to give me x squared plus 2x. Now that I have common denominators, I can go ahead and keep that common denominator, which is x minus 1 times x plus 2. And we can go ahead and combine our like terms on top, right? Because we're adding those two fractions together. So I'm going to have an x squared. If I add my x terms together, I've got 2x plus x, which should give me a positive 3x. And then I have that minus 1. So there's our function, f plus g of x. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more of these. Let's look at part D. In part D, we're going to be finding the quotient of two functions. So we have f divided by g of x. And we can rewrite this as f of x on top. And we're dividing this by our function g of x. So let's go ahead and work with the functions we have. I've got 1 over x plus 2. And remember, I can write this division of functions with a fraction bar, or I can write this as f of x divided by g of x. Alright, so since I'm working with fractions here, I'm going to go ahead and write this with a division sign. And my function for g of x here is x over x minus 1. Now remember your rules for dividing fractions. You're going to keep your first fraction the same. So I've got 1 over x plus 2. My division sign here is going to change to multiplication. And my second fraction is going to be flipped upside down. So I'm going to have x minus 1 on top and x on the bottom. Now I don't have any like terms that I can go ahead and cancel, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply straight across. 1 times x minus 1 will just give me x minus 1 on top. And on the bottom, I'm going to get x times x plus 2. And let's go ahead and distribute that denominator out. So that's going to give us x squared plus 2x as our denominator, and x minus 1 in the numerator. So there's our final answer for that one. How about you go ahead and try part C and submit that with your notes.